What's up, guys? I'm Dave. This is Kage. This is our Star Wars Mandalorian discussion podcast. We are on episode 11, chapter 11, The Heiress. Plot synopsis. The Mandalorian braves the high seas and meets unexpected allies. Let's get straight into this, okay, guys? Hit the hyperdrive. Okay, so, straight into... Okay, don't play with your food. This is a topic I want to bring up. If Baby Yoda's listening, I want him to listen to me right now. He's got a lot to learn, okay? He's 50 years old, and he's playing with his food. This is terrible. We saw last episode. I mean, I don't know if you have any opinions on this, but 50 years old? This is bad.
To be fair, he looks like he's still trying to learn how to walk from time to time. And I don't know. It's funny because this seems to be like it's a running gag throughout the series so far, I feel like. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe by the end of the series, we'll see him actually eating with silverware or something. I don't know.
Last time you brought up he might be wearing like a Mandalorian helmet if he sticks around. He might be sticking to the creed.
I think he will.
He's got a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
A lot to
like
learn.
Poke a octopus with your knife if it sticks to your face.
That's for sure. Lesson 101, I think, right there. It's a little fun, but this episode had a lot of big things going on. This is a big setup episode, in my opinion. If you know these people that are introduced, you understand where a lot of this might be going this season. Bo-Katan. We've both met her before. Oh, I love that little guy. I love him. I got to admit, he's winning me over. You know, I forgot that you had that image there, but my love for him. I said I'm not here for him, but this season I might be. He's growing on me. He's growing up. You know, he's growing up.
We'll see where he's at by the end of the season. It depends.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I'll tell you.
Oh no, I don't think so.
He's going. Okay.
Anyways, you wanted to get into Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan.
All right, so, I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with?
So let's first thing that one of the things she talks about is that she removes her helmet right away, and this is big. You see that we're finally going to discuss this because in Clone Wars and Rebels, they take their helmets off. That's just it happens all the time, and it's not uncommon. It's not weird. In Mandalorian, he doesn't remove his helmet. And that is something that we're like, okay, that's how it is. This is now Mandalorian. You don't remove your helmet. You see that he is what is called the child of the Watch. They are, as she describes it, a cult of religious zealots whose drive was to reestablish the old ways of Mandalore. Which, okay, old ways of Mandalore, for those that don't know, is a more war-driven society. It's a very violent approach to government. It's kind of survival of the fittest instead of, some kind of democracy, Senate, those kind of things. Thoughts? What do you got?
I mean, you kind of covered kind of what they're doing. I think there are definitely some differences between Mando and her. Obviously, their creeds are different, or their beliefs are different. Mando believes in the old ways, while Bo-Katan and her group are following the more mainstream Mandalorian culture. She definitely shocks him. In fact, I thought Mando was going to try to fight her right off the bat. I thought, you took your helmet off. Okay, she's not a Mandalorian. Gotta kill you too, or do I gotta go kill another crate dragon? What's going on? So yeah, I like that they're showing the different cultures of Mandalorian and how they're in Mandalorians in their culture, and showing how there are different groups, different sects. They believe that the world should go different ways. But if you look at Mandalore's history, I mean, they've been nothing but they're at war all the time. They're always fighting somebody. Their culture's always getting changed. Their leaders are always shifting. So yeah, I think that Mando meeting her will be a benefit to him in the long run. So, and
did you realize who the actress is?
the actress, actually, no, I didn't. I looked up. I didn't.
She is the voice actress for Bo-Katan in Rebels and Clone Wars.
Really? Okay, that makes sense, and that's actually really cool because she looks the part. It makes me wonder if maybe they modeled the character off of her then, because they did a very good job of making her, even with her mask off, match. That's actually really sweet. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I saw that, it's a good state for in Star Wars. It's always all the young people. What's going on with the young people with the Force and all that? But to see her, as I think we're going to discuss, she kicks some ass, man. I mean, that is she is on it.
She has a huge history of going through war. I mean, I have a clip right here of her and her group, the Night Owls, boarding the Imperial cruiser. So let's check that out real quick. And they lockpick their way in, and she leads the way. She doesn't care who's in front of her. She takes them out real quick. I believe they use vibro blades, right?
I would believe so, yes.
You can tell, like, this group, they know what their mission is, they know what they're doing, they are precise, and they can people out real quick. Versus Mando, he's just kind of running behind them. Like, follow their lead. And
yeah, you definitely see that he's not in his season. History, yeah, I love it.
Well, like here, they're going through like double tapping people, and Mando is just looking around like, what do I do? It's just, it makes me wonder how fresh is he to the scene. They don't really give us a whole lot of background on how new to being. Well, he's always been a Mandalorian, I suppose, but how long has he been fighting? How long he acquires his armor, the new Beskar armor, in season 1. So, I mean, do you have to earn that as you progress as a Mandalorian? So that's
like I was saying with Baby Yoda, he's got a lot to learn. Maybe
they're both learning together. They got
both learning together.
They got a ways to go.
So, Bo-Katan, a little background, discussion for anyone that doesn't really know who she is. So I kind of know a little bit. I know that she once led a group called the Night Owls, and later on was a part of Death Watch, who was a radical group. Things that Mandalore doesn't really seat with the Jedi or the Sith. Necessarily. They've always done their own thing, and she works with Maul at one point, which is it goes about as well as you would think. I know that she is the sister, Satine, who was the Duchess of Mandalore. She once ruled Mandalore. And for anyone who hasn't seen, this is Obi-Wan's love interest. When Obi-Wan says that he understands what Anakin's going through, he does understand what Anakin's going through. Obi-Wan went about it a lot different way, obviously. What can you tell me? I know you've got more information.
I think it's interesting that Obi-Wan's like, hey, I have a love interest. I can pursue this. But Anakin, no. Step back. No.
Yeah. He does it in a lot more diplomatic way. He's like, I'm going to help her when I can, but he doesn't really ever say or do anything. It's Clone Wars. I mean, it's just,
no, I get you. But I think it's really cool, though, that the reference back here to Bo-Katan... The reference back to Bo-Katan is referring back to the Clone Wars and Rebels, the animated series. So I would say they're confirming it as canon, at least within the Mandalorian universe. But yeah, there are other groups that are shown. But in this series so far, we're presented with the Night Owls, Death Watch, and Clan Mudhorn. The Night Owls was formed by Bo-Katan. It was actually a group of all-female elite Mandalorian warriors. They fought during the Purge, the Great Purge of Mandalore, but they also fought in parts of the Clone Wars. I'm not too sure. In this episode, she had 2 companions with her. There was Casca Reeves, who is a member of the Night Owls, and she's also the one who saved the child from the Mammacore on the Fisher's boat. But then,
yeah, I'm with you.
There was the other guy, Axe Woves, and he doesn't. One, he's a guy, so if the Night Owls still continue to practice them being only female warriors, well, that kind of disqualifies him. But he seems to be following her for one reason or another. He seems to be good enough. He knows the mission. He follows through really well. But then there's the other group, the Watch, which you mentioned. Mando is a child of the Watch. One thing that is also mentioned, or if you look at it, is his creed comes from the same group that he was with in the first couple episodes. I'm trying to recall the planet name, but it's they were referred to as the tribe with the armorer, and then I'm trying to find my notes. I'm fired for this. But the group follows, I believe, if the child of the Watch, I think that's actually means that they are of Death Watch.
In season 1, you see, I think it's in the flashback when he's like rescued. That is actually Death Watch that rescues him.
Yeah.
So when he is a child of the Watch, he is a child. He was saved by Death Watch, essentially. So no matter what kind of opinions may have been formed about this group, I think to Mando, he has a soft spot for these people. They also just saved his butt twice in this episode, but you know.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, if that's how you're raised, that's all you know. So I mean, he doesn't think anything's wrong with it. That's all he knows about being a Mandalorian. But yeah, he is saved by Death Watch. As far as I can tell, they have the Death Watch insignia on their shoulders. That's why the other group was called the Tribe. I'm not entirely sure, unless they were just their own coven, and the coven referred to themselves as their own name, maybe. One of the other things that was worth noting, though, if we look back in the history of Death Watch, is it was run by a gentleman named Pre Vizsla. And in the Tribe, do you remember the Mandalorian that had the heavy blaster gun and his jetpack? He was the one that was just mowing people down.
Yeah. Yep.
I was looking through and saw that his last name is also Vizsla. So the head of Death Watch and then one of his ancestors, it all makes sense. I believe he is part of Death Watch, but I don't believe he knows the history. Their struggle to take over Mandalore. It's interesting. He's essentially was raised in what was considered a terrorist group.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting to see more like what Mando doesn't know, or more so, when did Mando get his armor, get up to speed with the world right now? Because he doesn't know, like you're saying, he doesn't know the background of necessarily where he was raised, the people that raised him, I guess. I mean, he's probably heard an interesting side of their history, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're going to hear it from your own side, I imagine, so he's never going to think they did anything wrong. Yeah, I think that's important to note, and I think Death Watch might be relevant later in this season, or maybe season 3 if they have one. I believe we will see more of Mando's backstory as the story progresses. The most relevant clan at the moment in the show, though, is Clan Mudhorn, which was created by the Armorer in Navarro. I remembered the planet. And that only consists of Mando and the child. The child is technically a foundling, and I'm gonna stick to my guns on. I think that the child is going to be a Mandalorian. I think I so want to see him in little armor. It'd be so cool. Like,
I like it.
You see him with he doesn't know how to use a fork, but he's out here with like a little vibro blade. Like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna cut you. You know, give me your eggs.
Yes.
So yeah,
I could see that one in particular.
so I think one thing that I'm interested to see, and maybe you would agree with this, is that I think that by the time this is over, I think Clan Mudhorn will have its own set of rules and creeds that they follow. That, you know, maybe he's going to take from the Night Owls or mainstream Mandalore. Maybe he's going to stick with Death Watch and say, "You never take your helmet off, Baby Yoda, or you're dead to me." I don't know, but do you think that they're going to change at all, or do you think he'll just stay with what the tribe taught him?
I think he's going to stick with what the tribe taught him. I think he probably needs to add in some rules for the child. Don't eat eggs.
Maybe,
you know,
or at least modify the helmet like a big tube straw that he could just slurp eggs out of Frog Lady's house. I don't know.
Dude, when he got that soup from the
oil the chowder.
Thing,
the chowder.
The chowder. I did not expect it to have a live animal in it. You know, like that's
apparently
pretty gross.
It's just new. Like the moment it gets shot out of that tube, attack. Like that seemed weird to me. Why don't they should have some sort of filtration system or something like that? But then again, they are on Trask, and Trask is known as it's a black market outpost.
I think it's part of the meal or like a bonus.
It's
like,
a bonus.
You know, he's like, you gotta kill it, get it.
It's like it's a game at the end. It's your prize at the end of your Cracker Jack.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, why not?
So, I think a lot of what we're seeing here in this episode, like I said, a lot of building, a lot of what's gonna happen. You also get to see kind of the state of the galaxy right now again. I mean, last time you're saying, you know, it's tough times right now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
The fall of the Empire. Elaborate on that for me.
Well, I mean, obviously it's tough times. This is after the fall of Vader, so we have the New Republic's trying to take over. On Navarro, one of the earlier episodes, I mean, we're presented with the stormtroopers' helmets on pikes. I mean, obviously, at least in some areas, the stormtroopers aren't welcome. I would assume not welcome if you're putting heads on spikes. But I think it really shows the state of the Imperial Army. At least in certain areas, they're in hiding, which we mentioned before. They're searching for outposts. And when Mando first meets his new boss temporarily, when he is hired to hunt down the child, you get these stormtroopers that they look like skinny, starved. Their armor is dirty and just it is not the nice, shiny, white new armor that you usually see stormtroopers in. So it's very interesting to see that. But on the flip side, at the same time, I think that the Imperial Army is hiding something. I think they have a hidden fleet. They have somebody's got to still be producing their gear and their armor. I just wonder, do you think that these guys, like the one that hired him to find the child, do you think that they're more of like a front to make it seem like the Imperials are, you know, are on the back foot, they're getting driven back? Or do you think they actually really are?
I think they definitely have something up their sleeve. They always seem to. I think that the stormtroopers that you've seen here have fallen on tough times. This is what they can do, is grunt security soldier work.
Are you saying
it's tough times for them?
Just on
There's
Navarro?
Probably other. No, I think probably this is happening all across the board, except for a group that is being tightly kept together. I think you're going to see some crisp, clean stormtroopers too. You know, they're out there.
Yeah,
but there's also people almost like what happened to Mandalore. When Mandalore fell apart, you're now seeing that there are covens, there's sections, there's different groups that are surviving. And then there's also people potentially like Boba who survived on his own.
Okay.
I think that's kind of what's going on with the stormtroopers. There's probably a group out there that is working for what's left of the Empire, but there's also the people that have fallen into just doing whatever kind of work they can do to survive at the moment.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have Moff Gideon, for instance. Is he running the show right now? Is the Emperor even around? Like, who's ruling them? Because like you said, there's another group, or there may be like an elite group, or one with more privileges, I guess, than the others. Because then you have when Mando and his group they show up to trade the child back to him, and they get assaulted by a whole group of stormtroopers, and their armor is clean. It looks good. They even have I wouldn't say those aren't ARC troopers. At least I don't think that they're considered. ARC troopers were clones.
No,
but
there's a specific name for the dark suit
Death Troopers.
Yeah.
It might be Death Troopers.
I believe so.
And I mean, they're coming out of ships like crazy. They like this whole squad comes down, and then Gideon comes out. So, I think that maybe they just have a special group that they're trying to keep in the shadows as much as possible, and they're kind of shadow puppeteering all these raggedy groups.
It does make sense based off of where the Emperor would be at this time. The Emperor is essentially in hiding. If even that at that point, because based off what you see in the newest trilogy, he is going to go into hiding for a long time, and he has quite the fleet somewhere, or will be working on quite the fleet.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to see where we're at, because you're only a couple years off of Return of the Jedi, so he's probably not quite there. The Empire's probably not quite there, but they're getting there. This is definitely good world building that Mandalorian is providing us. A lot of what's going on, like we said, state of the galaxy. Moff Gideon, though, he's gonna be important because I don't think we touched on this. Bo-Katan needs the Darksaber. This is a symbol to her people, to ignite her people together, and he has it currently.
Question for you.
So, yes, what you got?
So, in Rebels, if you remember, Sabine Wren hands over the Darksaber to Bo-Katan.
Yep.
So, how did she lose it? How did it end up in Imperial hands? And now she wants it back.
At some point after we see Bo-Katan in the last season of Clone Wars, if you remember the last season that we just watched, with Mandalore under Maul's rule temporarily, before ultimately, with help of Ahsoka, they end up changing things. But the Bo-Katan actually seats herself as the leader of Mandalore right before Order 66, and she has the Darksaber at that point. She loses it at some point in speculation here in a battle with Moff Gideon. He takes it.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense because if I recall, I believe it happened during the Purge, the Great Purge of Mandalore, because they also mentioned it during season 1 with Moff Gideon, where they questioned where he got it, and they talked about or in the first season, they talked about how the Imperials have all but mined all the Beskar out of Mandalore, and that happened, or that was a result of the Purge. So I didn't even think about that. So that's a good point. So she probably lost it during that point, and then now she's seeking to get it back to reseat herself in power.
Yep, exactly. And my speculation is that this is something that she's going to need Ahsoka Tano's help to do. We already know that this is where we're going. We're going to Ahsoka Tano. But something that we haven't talked about is I think that to get the Darksaber back, you're gonna need the help of somebody with a lightsaber, and I think it's gonna be Ahsoka Tano.
Okay, well, I think it's jumping back to what the Imperials are hiding. I mean, they had this Imperial transport that they were using, and I don't think they would have been seen dead with something like that on Navarro, but on a black market port. I mean, why else would Imperials be buying from the black market? Is because they're trying to stay low. But one really big factor that I found recently was that an official LucasArts Topps cards recently released, and there's a picture of what looks to be a new Mandalorian, or not Mandalorian, I'm sorry, an Imperial starship. And I think that's probably where Moff Gideon's at, or at least I think they're rebuilding. So I think that's really cool. I think Topps leaked this a little too soon, because the title of the Topps cards themselves was specifically the Mandalorian Static Series 2. So we may even see this ship during this season yet. That or it's going to be down the line. But I think at least they have to at least reference it. I don't know if Mando's going to be a new hero of the galaxy, if he'll even see this ship, or if he'll even get that deep into the battle between Rebels and Imperials. Like, sure, we're going to get Ahsoka involved soon. Is Ahsoka going to drag him into all this?
Out of everything, out of all this, what I really love out of all this is that all these years later, it's still trading cards and toys essentially that are leaking where we're going in this season. Because what's the run of this card's called? Series 2 or something? Like, it's literally
Static Series 2
season.
Yep.
Yeah. So they got released at the start of the season, and we're learning something that's going to happen later on by the end of the season. I would assume this seems like an end of the season kind of thing to me, but who knows? We'll see. I love that. I love
just
when those kind of things happen.
Let's just keep this in the back of your mind as the season progresses, because I think it's something worth doubling back and taking a look at later in the season.
So, one thing that we have not really touched on is that Bo-Katan does give Mando the information that he wants at the very end of the episode. She says that Ahsoka Tano can currently be found in the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. I did some research, and this planet is pretty much unheard of at this point. Literally, the research I did showed this episode as its only entry. So I don't think there's a lot going on there. What do you know? Anything?
I don't even have a guess. I mean, Ahsoka was trying to stay in hiding for a while, and she kind of disappears after her big fight in Rebels.
I believe that she's looking for Ezra at the end. Yes, that's at the end of Rebels. That's kind of where she's at.
Is she? I wouldn't be surprised if she's going into hiding at the moment, or trying. She was already trying to keep a low profile at the time, anyways. And
yes,
I could easily see her kind of going back into the shadows, kind of watching, because while she's not officially a Jedi in the Council's eyes, she kind of acts like, I guess, like a gray Jedi. Like the screenshot here from Rebels, she's wielding white sabers, and you don't typically see that at all. Typically, they're blue, green, occasionally purple if you're lucky, but otherwise, I think she's kind of playing the role of a gray Jedi. I think she's trying to just keep balance at this point, and she's kind of sitting back and waiting to see what's happening. She might be looking for Ezra. We don't know what he's even doing. I would love for them to make some sort of reference for him in The Mandalorian, and maybe even find him at some point. I think that would be amazing.
So one thing we did also take away from this is that before Mando was kind of stated he needs to take the child back to his people, And I always thought my impression of that was, where are all the other Yodas?
Yeah, we kind of.
But it's not actually. It's not actually that. Apparently, he's on his way to go to Ahsoka Tano, which is crazy. That's I mean, I knew we were getting there. This episode put a lot of, this is how it's going to happen kind of deal.
So I actually had to rewatch when he said that. I had to rewind when he said, "I need to bring the child to the Jedi," but that wasn't his original task. So I mean, what is he hoping to get from a Jedi? That what does he know? Why would make him think a Jedi is going to help him more than just taking him to a planet?
One of the things that he takes away from his experience with Baby Yoda is that Baby Yoda can use the Force. He doesn't know much about the Force, but he knows that it is old magic, essentially. And that's where they say, okay, the Jedi can help you with this. And I guess it's true. I mean, when you look at all of the Jedi, all the different races, it's not about what race they are. They're a Jedi. That's their people. That's their family.
But they're Force sensitive.
I mean, they literally give away all their family when they become a Jedi. They say, I'm going to give all this away.
Anakin and his mother. Perfect example.
Yeah. So it makes more sense the more I think about it, that this is where it was always going, is that he was going to the Jedi, not to see more Yodas. Although I would love that. I it may still happen. I mean, that would be cool. Maybe Ahsoka knows where to go.
Yeah. I mean, she's got to know something. So
she knows more than they do. That's for sure. What do we one more, right? What's what do you got here?
Oh, it's the end of the episode. Mando and the child get back in the ship, and the ship it looks like it is held together by shoestring and a dream. And there's debris falling out of the bottom of it. You see it as it's taking off into space. There's just pieces and chunks flying off, and it makes me question it. Is he going to jump into hyperspace with this thing? Is he even going to make it? Like, I'm interested to see where they're going. Hopefully the planet that Ahsoka's on is not too far away.
That's very, very true.
So, I mean, we end the episode there, and we just got this piece of credit art that I think is hilarious. Bonus. I'm gonna go off on this one for a second. I love the credit art. It is so good, and I'm one that's always guilty of when the credits roll, unless I need to see like, oh, who's that actor or who directed, I'm quick to be done with the credits. And this is a show that makes me remember, watch the credits, because there's really cool things here. And sometimes this art shows different perspective than what the shot shows. This brings up something that I wanted to bring up. Like I said, as a little bonus. Disney did a really good job of making everyone realize that Baby Yoda didn't really do something that bad. I mean, it's definitely frowned upon. Are you referring back to them? They're trying to backstep now about him eating all those eggs?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a backstep. It could definitely be seen that way. But let me elaborate. If you actually watched it, I guess, you would see that Frog Lady, her race can only fertilize one egg, which is not uncommon in reptiles. There will be eggs, but only one of them may be the spawn of the batch. And that's exactly what's going on here, is that the whole goal was essentially to get one egg to the finish line.
Is that what Disney said? Was that their response, that they can only fertilize one egg out of like the 30 that were there? Or is this speculation?
It's actually kind of, no, Disney does say it, and they actually say it in the episode. It's actually stated that way, to where if you were really looking for this is the way it's unfolded, is that only one egg was gonna get to the finish line. And don't get me wrong, Baby Yoda shouldn't be eating them because you don't know where the finish line. You don't know which one's gonna be, the one. But it all turned out okay. As you saw in the one shot, the one hatches in the very end of the episode. You see Baby Yoda kind of hanging out with the freshly youngling, which scared me personally because I was worried about Baby Yoda. What he might do.
I thought that baby tadpole was toast. I thought he was gone. Like
I was concerned.
Oh, it was super concerning. Like, yeah, let me leave the child who's been eating your children, by the way. For a little while. We'll be back
yes.
eventually. Yes. And I'm not going to bother mentioning that your children are in danger around him. Like, maybe don't let him play with the tadpole in the bowl.
That's exactly how I felt about it. But I was very glad to see that it had kind of a good resolution because in the last week, a lot of people have really blown up, say, what is Baby Yoda doing? Which is fair. I think we need an intervention for this little guy, but
yeah,
I loved it. That it had a good ending in the end, which is good. We need that. We need that right now.
I'm excited to. I guess at this point, I'm kind of excited to see what else is he gonna eat. He's trying all sorts of things.
Can he get a show on the Food Channel? Is that an option?
Cooking with
Baby Yoda does.
What Good Eats with Baby Yoda. Good Eats with the Child. Yeah,
what
I could see it.
Like, instead of like Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg, it's like the Child and Snoop Dogg? That would be cool.
Oh, no.
I would personally enjoy that quite a bit.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it.
All right, guys. I think that about wraps up this episode. So one last thing, guys. Remember, this is not the podcast you were looking for.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with our current work. If you missed the previous video, you can check it out right here.